Alright then everyone, welcome back. So, as you can see for the title, the Gamigin is finally complete. Now, before we begin the video, just a few things. So, you're gonna be able to find all the files in my Code3D page linked down in the description. Now, once you download the files from Code3D, you're gonna have one zip file. Once you zip the file, you're gonna have one big file, and then once you open that file, you're gonna have a bunch of files, and then in each of the files they're gonna be labeled like a head, arm, torso. You're gonna just open the file, and then you're gonna have all your STL files right there for that specific section. Now then, some files are gonna say ×2, some won't. If it says ×2, that means you should print it twice, because that means that it's for the other side. So for example, if it's gonna be arms ×2, that means it's for one arm, and then once you print it again, it'll be for the other arm. So there's gonna be two videos. There's gonna be the first one where we go over assembly, size comparisons, all the goody stuff, and then I'm gonna have another video where I'm gonna show a painted version. Now these could require glue depending on if you want it to be sturdy. For example, the head may require glue depending on how well you print it, but I would recommend glue for a bunch of these parts. Now, when it comes to the frame, this is just the basic HG Gundam frame. Most of these from the Barbatos, like the arm, which I don't know where it's from, but it's the same thing. Now, for modifications, the only thing you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to cut the nub at the back. So these parts you're gonna have to remove the little the little cables here. You're gonna remove it, and you're gonna cut it. And then you're gonna sand it down a bit, make it just smooth. It doesn't have to be super smooth, it just has to be off. So that is the only modification you need to do to this frame. Everything else is standard stock. So let's get to assembling. Now then, the mace is gonna be composed of three parts: the blade, the main body, the handle, and the cable. So what you're gonna do is, again, you may use glue, I recommend it, but you don't have to. So you do is this: you assemble this there, and then you put this inside here. There's a cut in there that would this go through, so like this. So the way to see it is that the barrel is pointing up, and then this is gonna be like the trigger, like this bit right there. So you're just going to sandwich, again, depending on the quality you print, this may be tighter than others. For example, for me it's extremely tight, so what I would recommend is to sand it down right there. So once you got that, then you're gonna put the pipe in here. Not the pipe, the cable in here, and then connects there. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so it did take me a long time. I did have to sand it down. So just sand it there, like in here, and here, and then you may need to cut the peg that was there, but like it works. And then you bring in the blade, and then, you know, square hole, square peg. Just put it like that, where this enters like that, and there we go. Just try to fit it in there. There you go. Again, if it doesn't fit properly, you could use glue, which is probably what I'm gonna do eventually once I painted it. But then once you got that, you bring in the little pipe there, and then there's a hole there, peg there, peg there. So just line it up, and there we go. So usually, also make sure like the pegs are like circles, because like if you 3D print something, depending on the angle, there's gonna be support. So like that's why it wasn't fitting properly. There was support on the pegs, so it couldn't fit. But like, and this is how big it is compared to the frame. Now it is pretty heavy, so I don't know if the frame's gonna be able to pick it up. So like, just in case, I recommend printing this with like with a low density inside of it, if you can. If not, it is what it is. But yeah. Now then, we're moving on to the feet. Then so you have the feet here. It's gonna be 4 parts. So what you need this polycap, the circle polycap. I don't know if the other one, because I know that one of the other frames, like the Bedard, they use the slit instead of the circle one. So I don't know if that will work here. I haven't tried it, but like this is the one I use. So this is like the Barbatos frame. So you put it in there, and then what locks it in is this piece, where you have a little circle peg right there, and then a circle hole there. So like you're trying to, like, it's weird. You kind of have to put it in at like here, where like the circle part like that. Alright, so there you go. So again, make sure the peg is sanded down wherever you put support on it, because it just happened to me. So then you got that, and then you grab this piece, and you hold there, peg there, and you just slide it in there. slide it all the way down. Then you bring in your heel, same as the Barbatos, 2 pegs, 2 holes. You line it up. Now for the feet, you're gonna need the frame and the polycap. So you're gonna insert your polycap, and then you're gonna insert this piece. Now again, it's the same as the Barbatos, 2 pegs there, and then the little, I don't know what you would call that, the little pattern there. So you line it up. There we go. All right, so success. So then you grab these two, then you slide them, so you get that, slide it there, and then 2 pegs, 2 holes. All right, then now once you have both sides, you grab this piece, and then there's a square peg there, and then there's a square hole there, and you sandwich it in there. It's gonna be a little tricky, but it does go in there, like that. Then there's a square hole there, there's a square hole, rectangular hole there, rectangular peg there. You just slide it in there. Again, maybe a little tough, you may need to sand it down, which I do here. Alright then, so there you go. Again, maybe a little rough. You can sand down the peg until it fits for you. Now then, for the thigh, it takes 2 parts. So it's the same as the other ones, where just the grooves there, slider there, you just line it up. Alright, there you go, I got it. I was just sliding it in the wrong slit, so just make sure you're sliding it there. And then you grab this piece, which it goes, which way it go? It went like this, I believe. No, like this, where it has the, what you call it? It has the 2 slits at the bottom, and then the half circle at top, and then just slide it in there. There, and then that fills that gap, and there you go. Now the same for the other leg. Okay, now then for the pelvis, you're gonna need a bunch more parts, and then a bunch of these are little ones, so just be careful with that. And you're gonna need these. All right, so first of all, for the waist part, so you're gonna grab this, you're gonna grab your polycaps, and you're gonna put them in there. It doesn't sound like a click, but like if you're putting it together, you feel a nice little snap. Now this, the same way as like the Barbatos and all the other Gundam frames, you just slide it in there. Now this one, it does feel a bit loose, so like depending on your conveniences, you may glue it or not. It's up to you, honestly, because like it is honestly a bit loose, but you know, 3D printing works like that. So that's for the front one. Now then, the back one. So the front one is the same thing as all the other Gundam frames. You grab your pelvis part, you put the 2 baldrons there, and then you sandwich it in there. Again, these parts are more looser than others because like these ones do require a bunch more tolerances, so you may need to tighten the joints up to you. So for now, we're gonna take this off so it's not gonna get on the way. Because like for example, this is like too loose. This is like way too loose. So like what I would do is I would put like glue in there and then make it tighter. But for now, it's fine. So what you're gonna do for here is you're gonna grab this part, make sure the pegs are rounded. You're gonna grab these little parts, then you're gonna put it in there. Oh, it's gonna be finicky. It is little parts. They're gonna fit in there. It can be finicky, especially if your hands are sweating like mine, because like it's hot in this corner of the place, especially with the light in front of me. So you're gonna put them in there, and then try to line up the pegs, because in this is going to connect to this big thing, and then the holes are gonna go there. So like you got the 2 pegs there, the 2 holes there, and you're gonna sandwich it. Alright, so I was able to get it in there. So once it's in there, it's like this is probably gonna be still too loose, but like this is fine, it holds in there. So you're gonna grab this, there's gonna be a square peg there, a square hole there, and you're gonna sandwich it in there like that. Again, maybe a bit too loose, maybe a bit too tight, depending on how quality of your print is. So just there we go, snaps in there, and it holds. So you grab, like every other Gundam frame, you grab these, you put them in there. You do that. Like I said, you grab this part, Put it in there. And there you go. Alright then. So now we have the chest plate, which are all these parts. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna just honestly sandwich a bunch of parts together. That's really what this is. Just sandwich that there. Sandwich this here. Grab the, oh, that's not how that was supposed to go. I'm trying to remember how this, well, yeah, like this. So this goes here. This goes in here. Then this goes in there. Now you're gonna grab these wings, and then so you're gonna try to find it so the little slit, I guess call it like the little slits are there, and then the peg is on this side. Now this one goes on this side, so you're gonna have to like sandwich it in there. Again, it does take a bit of force, and again, just make sure the area is clean. Look at the peg. You may need to use some pliers for this one, honestly. Alright, yeah, I got it. I needed to use some pliers. You may, if you don't want to use pliers, you can sand it down a bit. It is what it is. So then you're gonna grab it, 2 holes, 2 pegs, and then it goes in there. And there you go. Now the arms. Okay, so for the arms, you're gonna need all these pieces. There's gonna be a left and right side for these, and then there's gonna be the, I guess you could say, elbow guard. So you're gonna grab your arm. Right, let's go with this one. Not this one. So this one has the thing there. So you're gonna grab the one that has the little thing there. You're gonna line up the hole, line up the peg. Also take off the hand. You're gonna need to take that off. So put it in there. Then you grab this, and there's a hole there, and there's a peg there, and then just slide it in there. Make sure it's straight, okay? Just line it in there. It's there. Line up. Then you grab the other side. Hole there, peg there, peg there. So just line it up, and it goes in. Again, it may be a bit spread out there, so you could use glue. Then you grab this, and then make sure that it's with this pointing up. So there's gonna be like a little groove there that's pointing up, and then there's a rail there, pegs there, and just line it up. So all like there's gonna be tabs there, tab there, tab there. There's gonna go in here, there. So just go in. Make sure that goes in there. It's gonna be a bit tight, but it will eventually go in there. Alright, so I got it in there. It was tight, but like there. And then again, this may spread out, this may not. This really just depends on how the quality you print it out. But there you go. It is incredibly tight, I'm not gonna lie. So you may need to sand down the pegs, but like it works. There we go. Now then the hand, the same as always. Just find the correct grip. I think this is the one where it's just like every other Gundam frame hand. L connection, L hole, and then just goes in there. Then just plug it in there, and there you go. Now for the bicep, it's the same as all the other Gundam frames, except for this one. Remember, you sanded that down. So then the way this goes is that the flat side, the one that is just all flat on one side, points this way. Then the one that has like the little slit there goes that way. So just slides down there like that. Then you grab your hand. Actually, before we put that in there, let's do the armor that goes there, which is just 2 parts. So again, 2 holes, 2 pegs, sandwich in there. So it snaps in there. So then it's like all the other Gundam frames. There's a slit there, there's a hole there. I mean, hole and peg. Just slides in there. Alright, I got it in there. Then you connect it there. And there you go. So you just grab your thing here. And there you go. Now the head. Now then for the head's 3 parts. Again, just make sure that it's like pretty clean up. So you put that in there. And then here, it's like a grooves there and there's a holes there. And like, this one is pretty finicky since like the tabs are pretty small. Hold on, I gotta clean it up a bit more. Since the tabs are pretty small, you may actually, I would honestly just say glue the head parts. And then just use the the grooves and pegs like line up. So for example, right there, like that. I don't think it's going in properly, but there we go. So it's be like this, and then just glue it in there. Now that we're talking about the head, there's gonna be two B fins on the files, B fin A and B fin B. B fin A has the little grooves there. I know it's pretty disgusting now because I haven't cleaned it up, but like, it's gonna have grooves here, where if you see the design of the Gamigin, it has like colors on the B fin. So there's gonna be two versions. One that has grooves there where you can just color it in, and then there's gonna be a version that is just flat that you can have to like freehand it yourself. So up to you. Alright then, for the backpack, there's 3 parts. This and this. Alright, so what you're gonna grab is this, and just push it in there. Now then, after sanding it down a bit, this is what I got. So then you're gonna grab this part, doesn't matter which direction, and then just put it in there. Thank God this one a bit easier. And there you go. So you just grab your torso and just put it in there. Now, that leaves the arms for the backpack. So I already put in one piece because I honestly wanted to test it out. So would you like some and this? So like it's just a bunch of C-clips where you see the clip there, the peg there, and just the way you can tell out is that the piston points out and the little like flat curvy part points in. So just peg it in there. Again, you may need some pliers, you may not. It just depends on how the quality and how strong you are. There you go. That pegs like that. And then you have 2 more C-clips. So you grab this C-clip and then you put it in here. And this is actually the first time I do this side, so hopefully it doesn't break. Alright, lucky me, it didn't break. So you grab that, you have that. And then you grab this other piece, which is like a round one. Alright, I didn't need to sand it down, I just need to push it further. Alright then. So you have it like this. So you got the little sub arm, and then this hole, this peg is gonna go into this hole. So there you go. Again, hold on, gotta make sure this is lined up properly. Again, I may have gotten this backwards. I honestly don't remember this moment. It may go the other way. If it goes the other way, you can just fix it on yours. But okay, yeah, I have them backwards. On your copy, fix it. But like, I have them backwards. This is supposed to be facing the other way, and this is supposed to be facing the other way. So yeah, I got it fixed up. The thing that get messed up a bit, so I'm gonna have to reprint this part. But yeah, okay. So then that just goes in there like that. Now for the final part, which is the machine gun. Now for this part, they run into an issue where I put some holes in there and it didn't print. They printed too small. So what I had to go in there, I have to go in with a 1/16 inch drill bit, or you could also use a 1.5 millimeter drill bit, or you don't want to have to just cut the pegs there and then just glue it in there. But like I just had to re-drill it. There you go. And then hole there, peg there, and then just put it in there. Come on. Well, it went in there. All right then. Well, I'll put it all together, and then we'll be right back. All right. So here you have it, all assembled. Now, it is incredibly finicky, but like honestly, it's 'cause like this is really loose for me right now, and then the arms are loose, and then this is so damn heavy. So you know, it's just going to be loose regardless. But you can get it into poses. It's just good luck with that because that's too heavy. I'm gonna see if I can make it more hollow for the file that's gonna go to y'all. However, I'm gonna keep it like this for mine because that does take a long time to print. So yeah, and then as you can see, I have a clip on. So if you turn it around, you can clip it onto this thing on the backpack, and then just pull it out whenever you need it. It is finicky, so I'm not gonna do it. However, you can. Now then, to end the video, I'm gonna do some size comparisons. Alright, now for comparisons, here we have the Wow. And as you can see, the Gamigin is taller. Here we have the Dantalion. And I guess you can see, it is also taller than it. And here you have it compared to the Schwalf Greys. So as you can see, the Gamigin is taller. So yeah, the Gamigin's gonna be taller than most Gundams. And mobile suits from Iron Blood Orphans, which is to be expected since it has big heels. Now, I'll compare it to other Gundams when I get to the painted video, but for now, that's gonna be it. Again, as I reiterated, the files are going to be down in the description of my Code 3D page. They're gonna be uploaded right after the video. What else is there to talk about? I'll make a video about it with the painted version later sometime. I may do it this week, I may do it next week, we'll see how it goes. And I think that's it. So if you want to support me, please like, subscribe, and share the video. Go to my Code 3D page and download some of my other files. If you like Transformers, I'm gonna be doing a bunch of those files as well. What else? Please let me know if you want me to work on something else. For now, I think I'm not gonna work on a Gundam at least for 1 or 2 months. Aside from like painting this one, but like once I get back, I was thinking of doing there's a fan art of the Gundam, I think it's Andras. I'm gonna put a picture of it right here. I may do that in this fan art because like right now Bandai is doing the kits for Iron Blood Orphans Uber Hunt, so depending on when they do, I may or may not do some of the other Gundam frames. I may just roll the dice and do something that they probably won't do, but I'll go from there. But like for now, I think I'm just gonna do the Andras. Maybe later on, I think I may. It's weird since I don't know what Bandai would do because I'm not Bandai. But worst comes to worst, I think I'm gonna do just a bunch of fan arts for Gundams. And I'm gonna make the files for free. Like I said, I'm probably gonna try to do the Andras, but like if I do it, I'm gonna have to use the Gundam Barbatos Lupus frame, and I don't have one of those. But if I find one for cheap, I'll buy it and do that. But aside from that, that'll be it. So thank you. See ya next time.